I mean, I also have to say we have good partners working for us. Like we have our management, we have our like PR agency, and when we had like this good results, then we were writing the new album, and we got like a lot of offers like from big labels and everything, and we just were not satisfied with their offers, and we said like. At first, we were really excited, to receive like all this emails from these big labels. Oh, wow, like that's so cool that they just know that we're here. But then like you go through this offers and you're like, that's it's a little bit that sucks.
Headbangers. Welcome back to the Headbangers podcast, where your hosts Nathan and Brad. Here today, we're joined by the lads in Schizophrenia. How are you doing to start off with, guys?
Good. All good, thanks.
Awesome. So we want to start off with like a little icebreaker. What's your funniest gig story or tour story that you can recall?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's our speciality.
Well, I think my favorite moment has got, sorry, Romeo, but my favorite moment has got to be when we were on tour, just super wasted on whiskey, and you were dancing with your Oakley sunglasses in your underwear with your leather jacket on. In the van. That moment always sticks with me. It always cracks me up thinking about it.
Yeah. And also he was talking about how to make meatballs.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was giving a lesson about how to make meatballs.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Embarrassing moments. I remember it because I got it filmed.
Shit, you do.
and I happened to see that video like not that long ago, actually.
Is there any chance we can request this footage for next days?
I'll send you an email with that.
Oh yeah. I'm just disappointed that you guys don't wear that usually as like a band, all of you with the Oakleys and the leather jacket and the underwear.
Those are like touring sunglasses, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Them and the pit vipers. You've got to at least have a pair of pit vipers on you as well at all times when you're one thing as well, I kind of want to ask you guys, obviously, what drew you to like death metal? What's been like your biggest influence for the band? Everything like that, if you can kind of run us through that.
Whoa. Well, I don't know. We just always leaned more towards the heavier side, like even with Voices. I mean, with Voices, it was obviously more thrash metal, but we always wanted to put in more of the heavier stuff. I don't know, because we always leaned more towards that side, so now with the album, we could do it. We didn't really have boundaries. So that's what we did. And yeah.
I feel like you guys balance it very well though, to be honest, because like you've got like the thrash and the death so well combined. Because sometimes when you listen to a thrash or a death, it always feels like you want something from the other side. But the fact that they're just so well flowing together, it definitely makes for a nice release.
Thanks. Cool. But on my side, I have to say, like I kind of got bored from listening to thrash metal,
Yeah, me too.
So it was I mean, I still listen to a bunch of classics, of course, but after a while, like it got a bit boring.
Yeah, definitely. I used to be like quite a big thrash kid back in the day.
Yeah, me too.
For me, like, I found like it kind of got repetitive, like especially like when you go back, you kind of realize that most thrash bands are always trying to sound like one of the big four at least. I find the most popular one that people go for is like Anthrax. Like they go, I kind of want to sound like Anthrax, and like it's kind of like death metal. There's a lot more to it. Like it's there, like each band has like a certain undertone. Like I feel like you could go to Nocturnus and be like, oh, this is like amazing, and then go to Entombed and like all those other bands, and they each have their own specific style of doing things. And it's so much more vibrant as a sound, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more versatile than thrashes in general. So I think that's also, I mean, we just kind of wanted to try to do something different and incorporate like different styles or sounds. And I think death metal was more appropriate of a genre to try and experiment with that than thrash metal was. So, I mean, I think for the album, leaning more towards the death metal side was pretty logical choice. I mean, it just happened naturally, I suppose.
Yeah, like also, I mean, when we started this project, like the band was more like thrash metal oriented, but I never wanted to sound like a classic thrash metal band. I always wanted to have something different because, like, I mean, if I listen to thrash, I listen to Slayer, I listen to Metallica, I listen to Creator, but I don't listen to any new band. I mean, I listen to Violator, I love Violator, but that's it. Like, I don't really like the modern thrash. Like, to me, it sounds like pretty much all the same.
Yeah,
So-
I see what you're saying though.
I feel like the best one that sort of came out in terms of modern thrash was Power Trip, but I feel like they had so many more influences on them.
Yeah,
Like, I feel like, because like you could make an argument that Power Trip are just as hard, like is a hardcore band just as they are a thrash band. They're that perfect bit in the middle, and just having something like that put in there just immediately made them so much different to people that were coming out and being like, oh, we're just a thrash band. Like, you know what I mean? Like it made it so much different as a listener.
yeah, absolutely. That's why I like Power Trip, but to me, that's not even like standard thrash, like, because it has like a lot of hardcore influences. Also, I hear a little bit of Obituary in there as well.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So it's not just like the classic standard thrash.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of bands nowadays, and much like yourselves, you take the best elements of thrash, but then you make it into something completely different. I feel like people that are still going for that old thrash sound, it's like we've seen this. It's it's been going since the 80s. There's nothing really. If you go like fully thrash, I don't see there's much wiggle room to try and incorporate other kind of sounds in there. It's just a nice sort of add-on to other styles of music, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, well, of course, like, we're all aware that we didn't invent anything new here, but we tried to do our best to incorporate like some more elements in our music.
No, definitely. But yeah, it's I gotta say the new album slaps. It's amazing. I want to ask about the inspirations for the new album, like, lyrically and musically, like what was going on, what was, making you wanting to write this record. Like, I heard you talking about like lucid dreamings on one of your Instagrams. I was like, it's weird because we were speaking to another band the other day about lucid dreams, and then you guys happened to mention it. So yeah, just talk to me all about it.
Romeo, go ahead.
Oh, it's my okay. I have to go.
Your turn.
That was your dream, so.
Oh, well, yeah, I don't know. Like, I had just had that dream once, and it just felt so real, it was like I was stuck somewhere. It was so fucking eerie, like it was just real, and there was something there, I can't go too much in detail because it's too crazy, but like the moment I woke up, I was like, fucking hell, man, like we need to do something with this, like make a song or whatever. So that's what we did, and that's one of the elements for the album, So yeah, that turned into a song, the last one. So yeah.
Yeah, then of course, like, we took inspiration from like movies, books, paintings, or also like real stories, and we just gave them our own twist, like kind of make them our own. Of course, like, there's like we add elements, of course, like you want to make it convincing and everything. So, but these were the main inspiration, and then well, musically, I'd say like anything from like thrash to death to black metal as well. Like, there's a little bit of dissection in there, probably.
Oh yeah, I feel like a good like implementation of like black metal. I feel like thrash, black metal, and death metal, all three of them can go really well together. Like, they really do bounce off of each other really well. So having that, bringing that in, I feel like it always improves it. Everyone loves a bit of trem picking and high pitched vocals. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, everyone loves that. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like all those three do go well together.
Yeah, like with the vocals, I've tried to go. Well, in voices, my my voice was a bit more in the mid range, let's say, like was a bit more flat. For this record, I experimented a lot. I went like very much death metal in some points, and very growly, and then I also did like some very black metal vocals in there, and tried to make it much more dynamic.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. I always find the high vocals are always like personally my weak point, like for that sort of stuff, because I don't naturally have quite a high voice, so I think that's why I feel like lows always come naturally to everyone. Like you can eventually go, oh, I can do lows, but highs, honestly, as well, it's easier just to throw out your like vocal cords as well if you just don't do it right.
Yeah.
What
I
would you
did
say is
long
like,
sessions of vocal recordings, actually. Like it was pretty tough because I recorded like the whole album in like 3 days. And I re-recorded each song like multiple times until I was really happy with it. So it was quite challenging.
You're just like not speaking to anyone like afterwards. You're just like, no, that's it. I'm not speaking for a week now.
I drank like liters of ginger tea with honey, and spoke to barely nobody.
Do you ever find that as well? Like when you record vocals, like sometimes you listen to it back and everyone's like, mate, that sounds sick. But there'll be like this one section where you're like, I know, but that one section's gonna bother me. Like if I don't redo it now, that one section is just gonna really annoy me. Even though everyone else will be like, that sounds fine. It's like, no, that one bit. Like,
no, yeah, I had to redo like a lot of small bits in all of the songs, Unless sometimes I had like these chunks that I sang, like maybe a full verse. I was like, this sounds so cool because it's like very natural, and there's like, you can even hear like the struggle in there that I had like reaching, because maybe it was like a very fast part to sing, and it's cool to hear the struggle I had, that gives more intensity to the song and to the interpretation. But then, yeah, of course, there's like some parts where I had to re-record like that one word because I just didn't like how it sounded, and that was but for this one, like I really wanted to have no regrets, so I redid everything until everything sounded the way I wanted it to sound.
On the sort of subject to the new album as well, like how did the writing process sort of go, and how did it sort of differ from your previous releases?
Well, considering we were in the middle of the second lockdown, which lasted like 7 months in Belgium, we had a lot of very strict rules regarding like our social contacts and everything. So we did a lot at home on our own, and then we've been sending like riffs, that we recorded at our own places. We were sending riffs to each other or like drafts of a song.
Yeah.
And then eventually, like when we had the chance, we would meet together and develop these songs. But we have like, for some of these songs, we had maybe 10 different versions, and the first one is totally different from what you hear on the record. Like maybe sometimes we didn't keep any of those riffs.
Yeah, just the title.
Yeah. And sometimes not even the title, we just wrote like so much music that we still have a lot of material we haven't used, and a lot of it's really good actually, but yeah, it just didn't make it on the record.
You guys like perfectionists when it comes to this thing, then like it has to be like tip top, otherwise no.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We didn't settle on anything until it was like the way we wanted it.
Yeah. Also, just until everybody was happy with it.
Yeah.
Like if somebody doesn't agree, like even if it's just one person, we
just skip it.
Like we redo it until everybody's happy, pretty much.
Who would you say out of all of you is like the most picky then when it comes to it? Like, the most OCD, like it needs to be like this way, this way, this way. Like, do you have the one person in the band that?
Lorenzo.
Yeah, sure. It's our drummer, it's Lorenzo.
It's okay, he's not here.
But it is him.
Yeah, it is him though.
It's like, it's so important to have that though, where it's like I've always been one to say like use your words when you're in the band, because if you're not okay with like one section, you don't like it, it harms the band overall. It's like because if you're not hyped to play it, like then how is anyone going to be like hyped to listen to it?
Yeah.
Like it's so important. Just like, man, I just don't like.
No, it is like it's just not fun when this stuff happens because often like I don't know, sometimes we write something and then like we're just really happy about it and we're like, oh, this sounds crazy cool, and then we just send it to him and it's like, nah. It's just not even saying like, oh, this is cool, but maybe it could be like this. He just says like, no, I don't like it. And so eventually like we're just, oh, okay. then he gives like a constructive comment, eventually he does, but
eventually.
No, but jokes aside, like it's important to have someone like that, because
absolutely.
And like if we listen again to maybe the first draft we had, and then we have to agree with him.
Yeah, I think it's good though, because like, I mean, how many albums by other bands have like potentially been ruined because everyone disagrees? You know what I mean? Like, you got to have that sort of constructive criticism and just like, all taken apart and saying, yeah, we agree to that, yeah, we don't. Then that's how you produce the best products, because it's got everyone's input equally.
Yeah.
Sure.
I know from experience, like, just so a lot of times, like, I feel like for every like one good song you make, like there's always like 10 not as great, like way before that. Because I'm doing some demos on the weekend and a bit of writing with like the guitarist from my band, like John. And I'm not even kidding, I made like a folder of like just an EP that we're gonna release. I was like, here's all like the like tracks that we had from our old band that I thought were really great. Rewrite a little bit, but I think this is all great. But I feel like for every one of those tracks, there was another like 50 where I was like, shit. Oh, that's good. Shit, that's good. Like, do you know what I mean? When I was like constantly just listening to him, going, how did we think that was going to be a good one?
Definitely. So I want to ask about, obviously, you worked with Francesco from Fleshgod, didn't you, in some of the production side of things? Like, how was it doing that? It must have been a pretty crazy experience.
It was great. Yeah, it was. I learned a lot actually by working with him. It got a lot of new ideas and kind of changed the way that I approach composing now, I suppose. It was really interesting. It was a really cool guy to work with as well. Really nice. He always gave really helpful input, and he kind of felt like a mentor at the end, like he guided us really, really well.
What would you say is like the best piece of advice that he gave you guys?
It's a hard one, actually.
Yeah. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say, actually.
It must have been cool though, for sure. I mean, like, Fleshgod are fucking sick, and like, all their production always sounds amazing. So definitely they can pick worse mentors to have, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like something I can say about Francesco, that he hears stuff that's in there that no one else hears in the song,
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, okay, send me the song, I'm gonna give it like a few days and then I'll get back to you guys. And then he says like, oh, by the way, like that thing you do there, you should do it also here, And I'm like, how is that thing supposed to sound good if you place it there? And then he just says like this. Oh shit. Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, there's when you meet people like that just have like a different perspective on things entirely, and they'll just like they'll pinpoint something that you would not have seen in like a million years. So it's
I think like something I've learned from him is that like sometimes you don't have to look that far for
absolutely.
Like sometimes you have things in there and you just have to discover them. Like you don't have to come up with anything new.
And
That was crazy.
Like, working with people like that, like I feel like producers like probably like one of the like least talked about people like when it comes to like music, because it's like when you write a bit of music, like their input is easily one of the most important parts, because they're one of the first people to hear it for one. And if they just are a yes person and go, yeah, I'll just do whatever you want, like I feel like if they just go, I listened to it and I had this idea, like they've got all those years of producing bands and like recording, as well as like especially with him, like with his own band, like having that input and just being like, by the way, guys, I think this one would be good. Like they're the ones that put all the polishing touches on it and really do amplify the sound. Like I think there's a lot of producers that don't get the credit they deserve when it comes to like what they've done for musicians.
No, Francesco really does. He's. It's hard to understand like the way he thinks, because like sometimes like I really surprised us, you know. He heard like some stuff in there that like no one else had noticed before, and like, but you definitely learn a lot working with someone like that, and he's a super chill guy, you know. Like it's been a pleasure to work with him.
Potential Fleshgod and Schizophrenia collab in the future, maybe.
Hey, if they want, why not?
Absolutely. So also, let's see. How did you all meet? Like, what was the story behind that?
Well, I'm Italian, and I moved to Belgium in 2013 to study and to look for bandmates, because my main thing was to play music. So I started looking for people to play with, and then eventually I got a call to take the place of the bass player and singer of another thrash metal band that had been active since like 2010, I think, which was called Hammerhead. And at the same time, Romeo also joined the band, and that's how we met. Okay. Then with this band, we played we played live shows for a year or something, and then when this band basically disbanded, split up, me and Romeo back then we were living together, and we just decided to start a new project, a bit more extreme, you know, like still like thrash metal, but a bit more extreme, and with death metal influences in there. And I think Marty was already friends with Romeo.
Yeah, we met at a Motorhead show when I was 14.
Oh, nice.
I think
that's right.
I think Romeo was 17.
Yeah,
maybe.
That's right.
Then I remember you sent me a message asking if I wanted to start a band or to jam together.
Exactly.
That's the first time we played together a long time ago. But yeah, we had the instant click, you know, that I haven't really had with many other guitar players. So I mean, yeah, it always just works out really well. You know, we've been really good friends for a really long time. Yeah. And so we jammed together years ago, and then Romeo joined Hammerhead. And then when they decided to start a new project and they asked me, I was of course super excited to join. Because I mean, I've been friends with them for a long time, and I always really enjoyed playing with Romeo. So yeah, I mean, it was a no-brainer for me.
Oh yeah.
And then we met Lorenzo because we were looking for a drummer, and at some point I asked Max from Evil Invaders, the guitarist. I asked him if he knew someone, and he gave me Lorenzo's contact. So I asked him, and he accepted immediately. So
I think the most important thing is you guys click, which is the band thing. Like, no matter how good musicians you are, like, you've got to be friends, because especially when you go out on the road, if you all hate each other and you're in that enclosed environment, like, it's going to be hell. So I think you can bring the best out of each other by just clicking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very true.
it's crazy. Obviously, Lorenzo was sort of like the last one to come because I've always had like a running joke where on the podcast where it's like the drummer's always like the hardest to find. Like I was saying, like I'm convinced in the whole of the UK there's 4 drummers. Like it's there, like there's only 4 of them. They're all in other bands. You're never gonna find. I remember how hard it was just finding a bassist. I was like, there must only be like 10 bassists. But as well, like just trying to find a drummer. It's like, can you blast beat? It's like, no. It's like, can you do this? It's like, no. It's like, nah.
I think it's pretty much the same here in Belgium. Actually,
Yeah.
We're actually really, really lucky with Lorenzo. I mean,
Yeah.
You really don't find many guys that play like that in Belgium. I mean, at least in the metal scene at all.
Yeah, also like with that mindset, you know, because like before joining that band with Romeo, but before joining Hammerhead, I mean, I'd been jamming with other people, you know, because I was serious about this, you know, but I always happened to play with people, you know, or to jam sometimes with these people, and they were like really talented guys, but like no interest at all in making it something more than just playing in a garage, you know. Like for them, it was just like, oh yeah, like we can jam sometimes, you know, like yeah, playing shows, blah, you know, like it's hard to find like talented people and with your mindset.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I feel like it's one of those things because it seemed like a lot of people, all like most people will tell you, oh, it's pretty hard to get like a living from being in a band. Now I feel like a lot of people that are passionate about music that then do it only see it as like a hobby. So like, yeah, I'll play a couple shows on the weekend in between work, and it's really sad to see like a lot of the time because it's like finding people that are genuinely like, I want this to be a career. Like there's even like just finding a talented person is hard, but finding someone that has that mindset as well, it's even harder. Like honestly, it's so frustrating when especially if you're the only one with that mindset. You're like, I just want to fucking
Yeah.
Sure.
But I mean, but before Schizophrenia, I played with like a lot of people, and they were all like, to me, it's fine like to play just a couple of gigs every now and then and weekends, and that's it, you know. Like they had other interests. I respect that. I totally respect that. It's about being honest, you know. But to me, it was never like that. And I mean, we all know it's not easy to make a career, like to make money out of this, and that's not why we're doing it, of course. But it's about like the passion, you know. Like to me, it's not a hobby. To us, it's not a hobby. It's our life, you know.
I think it's if everyone's on the same mindset, then it's cool. Like if you're like, yeah, we want this, like this is gonna be our lives now, then I think it totally works. And if people are like, oh yeah, let's just do like, you know, a Saturday show every so often, then sure. But it's all about just like being on the same page, I think, and then that's the way that you can make it work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then money eventually will come if it works. Because it might not even work, but you know, if it works, money will come. But that's not the main thing here.
I feel as well like people get too content with. I remember when I'd be starting bands, like the constant thing I'd probably hear was, "Oh yeah, but like imagine if we got big in the local scene." It's like, why do we give a shit about like? I was like, yeah, local scene's great, but it's like we need to like look at the bigger sort of picture. It's like we're not just going to be playing in the local scene if we do well, like so like just focus on like trying to make like our music as best as possible. Like I hear so many people go, yeah, but the local scene, it's like, yeah, that's great, but at the same time it's like you got to be a little bit more like but how can I make everyone listen to it rather than the 10 people that turn up to the shows all the time. What do you think? Because I asked most death metal bands this, and we always get quite an interesting answer. I feel like we're going through like quite a big new wave of death metal at the moment. So what do you think sort of speared that on, in your eyes?
I've actually I actually answered this question in a previous interview as well, and I think I mean, like a couple of years ago, it was thrash metal that was this big, you know. There was big, I mean, thrash came back really in the foreground, and I think last couple of years it's been going more and more into the background, and I think death metal is just kind of filling up the void that thrash metal has left. And I mean, it happens time and time again, you know. And I think it's a bit like, I don't know the correct word, maybe like not a fad, but you know what I mean, like, which there is nothing wrong with, of course, but like it's just I think it's mainly because thrash left a big void, like going in the background, and death metal is just kind of filling it up now.
Yeah, also, I mean, there's always been like trends, you know.
Yeah, a trend. Yeah,
always
what
ups and downs.
Yeah, I mean, there's always like thrash had multiple comebacks, you know, and so did death metal, I guess, and now it's death metal's turn again.
I think there's like a lot of support there for upcoming bands now, like more than there's ever been. Like everyone's talking about like what the new bands are doing now. Like it's not as much about like the legacy bands. At least what I think, and from what I can see, like everyone's talking about like Worm and fucking Blood Incantation, and you know, people that are like pushing the boundaries. Like I've seen a lot of people talk about you guys, and that's how I got listened to you. And I was like, these guys are sick. Like I'm personally as well much more interested in the new sounds, even from like the deathcore side of like Lorna Shore and Slaughter to Prevail. Like I think the bands obviously the legacy bands are great, and they always are going to be great, but you're not going to find like much interesting concepts in the old ones anymore. Like it's being gone, and like a lot of other bands are pushing the new bands now, and like, you know, trying to make like the scene a lot more bigger and more open. So I hope that continues. And I think like even someone like Matt Heafy from Trivium, like he's always like talking about new upcoming bands, and I think that's helping up. Yeah,
I mean, in the last few years, there's been like a lot of new death metal bands like coming out that I find really interesting, you know, and like refreshing, but like not that much in the sound, maybe because I really like Frozen Soul, for example.
Oh yeah. They're awesome.
Like, I mean, they didn't invent anything new, you know, but still I find them like different than a lot of other death metal bands, you know, and they look fresh. They have a fresh look, you know, and I like their music. I love it. And same for you know, Blood Incantation, Gatecreeper. I really like the also the hardcore influences in Gatecreeper.
Oh yeah. I was saying to a couple of friends, I was there, like, I feel like a lot of bands are going into that, oh, let's put like a groove section in here, like a hardcore groove section. Because I feel like it complements death metal quite a bit, like, to have that. Because like a lot of people, like, unless you're like really, really into your death metal, like, you don't want it to always be just crushing. You want a little bit of groove to break it.
Yeah,
you need that groove.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Like, as well, dive bombs, like hardcore dive bombs in death metal. Yes, please. Like, like that. Every time I hear that, I'm there like, oh, you didn't have to do that, but I'm glad you did. It's a great little like trend that I'm seeing pop up more, and I'm like, I really hope it sticks. Just keep it there. I'm happy with it being there. As well, I feel like a lot of people are knowing now, like the older bands, they're going to be out the window, so they're going to be out the door. A lot of them are going to be retiring soon, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like a lot of people are like, what happens after they retire? And I feel like even like, you know, like sort of the press behind that, like people like Metal Injection and, you know, Loudwire and stuff like that, I'm also kind of thinking about, like, it's like, what are we going to write a headline about? Shit, I guess we're going to have to do a headline other than Corey Taylor. It's like, you know, it's like, I feel like that's what's pushing it as well, with like a lot of these new bands, where it's like, who's going to be the successors? Like, who's going to have to fill in that slot? And now we're seeing a lot of people going, hey, these guys are pretty cool. What about these guys?
Yeah, I mean, we have to deal with the fact that in about like 10 to 15 years, that the bands that are headlining festivals right now, and I'm talking about like Iron Maiden, Scorpions, Ozzy, Judas Priest, and some also like in the more extreme music, but they're not going to be there that long, you know. And the new headliners are going to be, well, they are already like bands like Sabaton or I don't know, like what are bands like Slipknot. I mean, they've been around for a while, you know, but there's no more like I don't see anything to my taste that can replace those big bands, and that's why I think it's important that like this newer bands like get what they deserve, because like there's a lot of talented bands, you know, that are coming out right now, and they deserve to be up there with the big ones.
Yeah, and I'd rather see that, to be honest. Like, you know, I've been going to gigs for almost 10 years now, and like when I'd see like the same headliners over and over again, I'm like, for fuck's sake, like I'll just go get a beer or get some food. I can't be asked. Like, not to say that they're bad, but like, you know, I think it'd be interesting to see some like newer, younger bands like take the scene up and, you know, see what kind of headline performance that they could provide. For sure.
Oh yeah, it's like I love Judas Priest as much as the next guy, but every time I see their name on a poster for a headline, I'm like, you know, 5 times.
Are you sure?
Yeah, it's like at Bloodstock last year, we had like 2 hours of Judas Priest, and like I'm not even joking. I went, they don't play Breaking the Law in about like 5 minutes. I'm gonna go grab something to eat, and like because I've seen him that many times, I'm like, I've seen this set like 9 times now. So I remember turning around, Brad. I'm like, right, it's been an hour and a half. There's still no Breaking the Law. I'm gonna go have some food, like really quick. Like, it's one of those things. Like there needs to be more opportunities for the bands that aren't headliners to potentially fill that spot. I feel like we need like a festival just to be like, all right, let's take a chance. Yeah, like, let's just gamble and see if it works out, because there's so many bands out at the moment. I'm like, if they headlined a festival, that'd be incredible. Like we spoke about it in the past, like on the podcast.
Yeah.
Like, and there's so many bands that like wouldn't be considered headliners, but if they did, like I can imagine it just be an amazing show from them.
Yeah, for sure. So I want to ask as well, like in recent years, I've seen like a lot of bands and artists, you know, doing things DIY, you know, self-releasing, like not going through labels. Like what pushed you guys to do that as opposed to going for labels? Because I mean, I personally thought if I was in a band, that's what I would like to do, because it feels like you've got all the reins and everything. Like you've got no one saying you need to do this or do this. So what made you go towards that?
We took a chance when we released Voices, you know, when we released our first EP. No one knew us, so we just said like, let's just do a self-release and see how it goes. And it went very well. We managed to have like a lot of exposure without necessarily being signed to a label. You know, we did invest on by ourselves. You know, we invested like some money in there for like promotion and stuff like that. I mean, I also have to say we have good partners working for us. Like we have our management, we have our like PR agency, and when we had like this good results, then we were writing the new album, and we got like a lot of offers like from big labels and everything, and we just were not satisfied with their offers, and we said like, at first we were really excited, you know, to receive like all this emails from these big labels. Oh, wow, like that's so cool that they just know that we're here, you know. But then like you go through this offers and you're like, that's it's a little bit that sucks. And then you realize that like that offer isn't that good at all, and you think like, oh, maybe should we try this again? Because we did it and it worked. Why not do it again? And it's a ton of work. It's crazy amount of work. Because with a label, of course, you have like a whole crew working for like at the promotion and like all the things, but like this we have to do everything ourselves. But I mean it's good. It's good. It's satisfying, and in terms of money, it's also better.
And you reap you reap the rewards more. Like, you know, it's hard work, but it pays off 10 times more, I imagine.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
mad respect to you guys, to be honest, for this, like seeing these record labels coming like, nah, fuck it, we'll just do things ourselves. And
Yeah,
I think you'll suffice a lot more from doing that for sure.
yeah. I mean, it's a big investment, of course, but
yeah, I feel like as well, a lot of bands are realizing, we don't really need record labels anymore. Like, not trying to like shoot shots and talking shit on record labels, because they still do a lot for like the music and for us. Like, but like, fuck me, like some of the deals I've heard from people about like what they'd be getting. You'd be like, it's like, oh yeah, we'll put you on like a 1-year deal. You know, we'll pay for this, we'll pay for that. We take all the money, but you might get assigned to another year. How about that? It's like,
wow, offer I can't refuse.
It's like, what? Oh, and you might get sponsored. Your merch. If your merch sells, you might. But we'll get all the money from the stuff you've worked hard on. How about that? Is that like?
It wasn't very appealing for us. And I think in the end, we made a big investment on the album now. But even with just the pre-sales, we already made a huge chunk back, actually. So even like before the album was released, we already made a lot of the investment we put in. And I mean, I'm expecting it to continue going that way. So, I mean, I think it was worth taking that risk. Absolutely.
Yeah. The thing is that, like, I mean, of course, I understand that, like, a lot of this big label, you know, they have a whole crew working behind every band, and they all want to get paid, of course. But like, I think a lot of young bands get a little bit fascinated about like the big names, you know.
Yeah.
You see a big name, like you receive an email by one of this big labels, and you're like, fuck, but this is the big chance.
Yeah,
that's a dream, of course. Like that's what we all thought when we first got those emails, you know. But then if you take the time and actually like have a good sleep over it, you know, and you read these contracts the day after, and you're not very impulsive. You're saying like, okay, maybe it's not that convenient for us.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Like, I'm not a musician or anything like that, but you know what I know is like I do video work and editing, and I'm very interested in like doing movies eventually if I could. But I've always read like horror stories of just like people that they have a movie idea, they go to like Netflix or they go to Universal, and they just completely just fuck them over in the contract, and then they'll just steal their idea and make it their own, and then just not give them any credit. So like, I mean, it's not obviously that extreme, I imagine, but like, it just makes you think it's so much better sometimes to just do things yourself, like the idea, the concepts, and the rewards. It's all yours, like for better or worse. So
exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying we'll never. Sorry, Romeo.
No, go for it. Go for it.
Well, I was saying, I mean, I'm not saying we'll never sign for a label, you know, but maybe we'll do it when it's time and when we feel it's right.
Yeah.
Right now, we can just do things ourselves, and we're happy like that.
I also got to say, it's just fun also doing it ourselves.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, I think we're all learning it a lot by doing it this way. And I mean, it's just fun to like take care of it together, you know, like it's like running our little business, you know, it's a lot of fun. We learn a lot. So I think by the time we will sign, I mean, we're better prepared that way, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like one of the shining examples of it paying off was like, I don't know if you've ever heard of Malevolence from Sheffield over in the UK.
Yeah, I think we played with them at Andromel Fest like a few years ago.
Oh, cool.
Amazing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went like independent. I think they did get signed, and then I think they eventually left that label. And then they went independent, and like now, like they've partnered with Nuclear Blast for the distribution of their new album. Like, so it comes to show, like, if you work hard enough and you really like persist with this and you hold out, like the big labels will still come knocking. And at the end of the day, they still get to own their music, and they still get a lot more benefits than what they would if they were signed to that. Like, no, like shots at Nuclear Blast, but if there was an earlier band and they'd been signed to Nuclear Blast, I don't think it's wrong in saying they probably wouldn't be getting as much as they probably are now from what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I've heard of bands saying like, can't wait until like our contract with the label is done, like that we can just handle things ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's getting like that, because I mean, we have the internet now for one. Like, what say, like, I want to print vinyl. Places that do vinyl. Oh, there we go, found it. You don't really need a label to do that middleman stuff that the bands would normally do now.
Yeah, for sure. So we are sort of getting to the end point of the interview now. One way that we always like to leave it is, what advice would you give to your younger selves, and what advice would you give to other new musicians starting out?
Question. Just I don't know. It's probably gonna be a cheesy one, but like, just be yourself, man.
Yeah.
That's about it.
I would say just keep at it, and don't like pinpoint yourself on one genre. Like, just, I mean, combine things. Don't just say like, I want to sound like this. I want to play only thrash metal or only death metal. Like, I mean, it's been done, it's you get stuck. It's not very creative to think that way, so if I had to say something, it's got to be that.
That's right.
Yeah. No, I would just say like, I mean, I wouldn't say much to myself actually, because I really did like what I wanted to do, like I was always very determined. But yeah, I mean, to a younger kid that like is interested in making music nowadays, I would just tell him to be himself and just go for it and be hungry,
Yeah, that's important. But yeah, thank you so much, guys. Honestly, your new album slaps. Yeah, I'm going to be having it on repeat still, and I hope I'll get to see you guys play live sometime if you're ever in the UK.
I would love that.
Awesome, man.
And it's
been great having you guys on.
Yeah,
it's been great having you guys on.
Thank you very much. Sorry, we didn't get
I hope the new album slaps up to see in the UK, and I'm really looking forward to like what you release next, because I feel like the new album was particularly really good.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, man.
That was